I had my uniform on, the spikes off, I ran in, the woman, her name was Mary, I ran
Oh
in,
boy.
Mary, where's Dad? She was out in the lane going in the repair shop. Take my word, true story. And my dad was a well-dressed, refined fella, and I walked out and my dad was
Okay,
pacing
so
back and forth
basically
between
Joe
the
Biden
big
is
garage door going
saying,
into
speaking
the
about
repair
the
shop
student loan
and
debt
the door going out of the
that he's
workshop.
going to try to
And I looked up and
erase.
said, "Oh, Joey, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I thought,
He's
God,
talking
something
stories,
happened
but he
to
won't
this
talk
old
about what's going on.
I thought something happened to one of my brothers or my sister or my mom or something. I said, "What's the matter, Dad?" I said, "I went to see," the guy's name was Charlie Delcher, who was
Oh my gosh.
vice president of the Farmers Bank, which was a state-owned bank that did a lot of the financing of people wanting to purchase a car.
Alright.
I went to Charlie and asked to borrow the money. He said, he won't lend it to me. He said, "I'm so ashamed. I'm so damn ashamed." You know, my dad would, you know, my dad was like millions of parents all across the country. Want to help the kids to get to school, but there was just no way to be able to do it. You know, and because he believed, as I do, that education was a ticket to a better life. It's something Jill and I, Kamala and Doug, we understand deeply. I'm sure the vast majority of you do as well. But over time, that ticket has become too expensive for too many Americans. All this means is an entire generation is now saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for an attempt, at least, at a college degree. The burden is so heavy that even if you graduate, you may not have access to many people.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news.
Buy a home because of the debt they
Let's go, Brandon. It's speaking about student loan debt.
It's too high and they can't come up with a down payment anyway. A lot of folks are even putting off starting.
Basically, it is a $300 million handout.
Way off in the distance with the debt that so many are saddled with. Many of you had to leave school because the financial strain was much too high. About a third of the borrowers have debt but no degree. The worst of both worlds. Debt and no degree. The burden is especially heavy on black and Hispanic borrowers.
Oh, here he goes.
Less family wealth to pay for it. They don't
He put it out there.
To be able to pay for college. And the pandemic only made things worse. But we responded aggressively to the pandemic to minimize the economic impact of the harm COVID imposed on individuals, families, and businesses. You all were there. It was recovery. Look, we increased unemployment benefits for workers who were laid off. We provided loans to small businesses so they could stay afloat and take care of their families and their employees. We provided assistance to people to put food on the table.
Actually, it was the Trump administration who started doing that.
Just waiting for a box of food to be put in the trunk in the United States of America.
Well,
waiting for over an hour to get food in the trunk. And we provided rent and mortgage assistance to keep people from being evicted and thrown out in the street. Our approach to help Americans who needed it the most was necessary and was the right thing to do. And to help people avoid financial crisis, it's helped our whole country as a consequence of that. That didn't benefit them, it benefited the whole economy. Our approach is why Americans' economic recovery was faster and stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. Now it's time to address the burden of student debt in the same way.
Oh, here we go.
Working closely with the Secretary of Education, he's got the hard job. You know, Secretary Cardona. Here's what my administration is going to do.
Oh, here we go.
More breathing room for people so they have less burdened by student debt.
All right, here we go.
And quite frankly, to fix the system itself, which when we came in, we both acknowledged was broken.
Take them 5 minutes to tell us what's going on.
There are three key factors we're going to do.
Three.
First, we've made incredible progress advancing America's economic recovery. We've wound down pandemic relief programs, like the ones on unemployment insurance and small businesses. It's time we do the same thing for student loans. Student loan payment pause is going to end. It's going to end December 30th. I'm extending it to December 31st, 2022, and it's going to end at that time. It's time for the payments to resume. Second, my campaign for president, I made a commitment. I made a commitment that would provide student debt relief. And I'm honoring that commitment today. Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans. In addition, students who come from low-income families, which allow them to qualify to receive a Pell Grant, will have their debt reduced to $20,000. Both of these targeted actions are for families who need it the most. Working and middle-class people hit especially hard during the pandemic, making under $125,000 a year. You make more than that, you don't qualify. No high-income individual or high-income household on top of the 5%, in the top 5% of income, by the way, will benefit from this action, period. In fact, about 90% of the eligible beneficiaries make under $75,000. Here's what that means. If you make under $125,000, you get $10,000 knocked off your student debt. If you make under $125,000 a year and you received a Pell Grant, you'll get an additional $10,000 knocked off that total, for a total of $20,000 relief. 95% of the borrowers can benefit from these actions. That's 43 million people. Of the 43 million, over 60% are Pell Grant recipients. That's 27 million people who will get $20,000 in debt relief. Nearly 45% can have their student debt fully canceled. That's 20 million people who can start getting on with their lives. All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt, to get on top of their rent and their utilities, to finally think about buying a home or starting a...
Okay. How can I say this? I want to say what everybody else is going to say. Basically, us as taxpayers are going to pay for people that do not pay their student loans. So that is a tax increase, ladies and gentlemen, a tax increase. Now, first thing I'm gonna say this, and hopefully I won't get banned. Hopefully I won't get a strike. But here's the thing. Why should taxpayers pay for somebody that don't want to pay their student loan debt? Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, and why people don't want to talk about it. When these people sign the paperwork for the student loan, they put their signature basically that says, I will pay this loan back in full. And now they are crying because they can't pay it, because most of these people drop out of college or they got a weaker job that they went to college for. And so what about the people that don't go to college? What about the people that are plumbers, waiters, waitresses, contractors, construction workers, engineers? A lot of these people don't go to college for that. What about them, Mr. President? What about the people that have car loans? Are you going to cut them out too? You going to take away those loans? What about the people that own a home? They have a loan they can't pay. You going to help them out too? Okay, here's the thing. This is what I'm getting ready to say. And I hope I don't get banned. As of right now, Joe Biden wants taxpayers to pay for these people that don't want to pay their student loan. It is that simple. Joe Biden, the Democrat, and the drive-by media wants taxpayers to pay the bill. Now, most of these taxpayers are conservative Republicans. And why should our taxpayer pay for somebody that did not want to pay a loan? Mr. President, you need to go back on vacation. And I'm done with this. I gotta go.
It's a game changer. We're also fixing what's called, and this has been the bane of driving me crazy when I was out of office, the Public Service